Don't jump. The rain fell in steady sheets across the city that night, turning the streets into mirrors that reflected the amber glow of streetlights. Marcus Chen walked slowly across the old bridge, his 3-year-old son Tyler bundled against his chest in a worn red jacket. The little boy had fallen asleep hours ago, exhausted from another day at the overcrowded daycare while Marcus worked his second job. Marcus's footsteps echoed softly on the wet pavement. Each step felt heavy, weighted down by more than just the sleeping child in his arms. The eviction notice in his back pocket seemed to burn through the damp fabric of his jeans. 3 days, that's all the time he had left before they would be put out on the street. The bridge stretched before them, its iron railings dark and slick with rain. This was their usual route home from Marcus's night shift at the diner. The long way, but the safe way. The neighborhood shortcuts weren't places you wanted to walk with a child after midnight. As they reached the middle of the bridge, Marcus noticed a figure ahead. A young woman stood at the railing, her long blonde hair hanging in wet strands around her shoulders. She wore a thin white dress that clung to her frame, completely soaked through. Her hands gripped the iron bars tightly. Something about her posture made Marcus slow his steps. She was leaning forward, staring down at the dark water below. The way she stood there, so still and focused on the depths beneath the bridge, sent a chill through him that had nothing to do with the rain. Marcus had seen that look before. 3 years ago, when Tyler's mother had left them both behind, Marcus had stood on this very bridge himself. He remembered the weight of despair, the feeling that there was no way forward, no solution to problems that seemed impossible to solve. "Miss," he called out softly, not wanting to startle her. "Miss, are you okay?" The woman didn't turn round. Her shoulders shook, and Marcus realized she was crying. The sound mixed with the steady rhythm of rain hitting the pavement and the distant hum of late-night traffic. Tyler stirred in his arms, making a small sound. Marcus adjusted his hold on his son, making sure the red jacket stayed wrapped around the child's small body. The boy's warmth against his chest reminded him of everything he had to live for, everything worth fighting for. "Hey," Marcus said, taking a few steps closer. "Whatever's going on, it doesn't have to end like this." The woman's grip on the railing tightened. "You don't understand," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain. "I've lost everything, my job, my apartment. My family won't even talk to me anymore. I have nowhere to go." Marcus felt his heart clench. Those words were painfully familiar. He remembered saying almost the exact same thing 3 years ago, when the bills had piled up and Tyler's mother had walked out, leaving behind only a note saying she couldn't handle the responsibility. "I know it feels that way," Marcus said, gently, moving closer still. "Trust me, I know exactly how that feels, but things can change. They do change." "How would you know?" The woman finally turned to look at him. Her face was young, maybe early 20s, with red-rimmed eyes and streaks of mascara running down her cheeks. "Look at you. You probably have everything figured out. Nice family, stable job, a home to go to." Marcus almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. If only she knew. If only she could see the eviction notice in his pocket, or knew that he'd been living paycheck to paycheck for months, working 3 different jobs just to keep Tyler fed and housed. "Actually," he said, "I really don't. 3 years ago I was standing right where you are. Same bridge, same rain, same feeling like there was no way out." The woman studied his face, looking for signs of deception. "What changed?" she asked quietly. Marcus looked down at Tyler, whose small hand had found its way out of the jacket and was now gripping Marcus's shirt. Even in sleep, the boy held on tight. "This little guy," Marcus said. "Tyler, his mom left when he was just a baby. I was working one job that barely covered half our expenses. I'd maxed out every credit card, borrowed money from everyone I knew. I felt like such a failure as a father." The rain continued to fall, but somehow it seemed gentler now. The woman had loosened her grip on the railing and was listening intently. "So, what did you do?" she asked. "I realized that giving up wasn't really solving Tyler's problems. It was just passing them on to someone else. And maybe, just maybe, if I kept trying, kept fighting, things might get better. Not perfect, but better." Marcus shifted Tyler to one arm and extended his free hand toward the woman. "My name's Marcus. This is Tyler, and I'm guessing you're not just some random person who decided to stand on a bridge in the rain at midnight." For the first time, a small smile flickered across her face. "I'm Sarah," she said. "Sarah Mitchell. And you're right. I was thinking about jumping, I figured," Marcus said simply. "But you haven't. That means part of you wants to find another way." Sarah looked down at the water again, then back at Marcus and the sleeping child. "I used to be a teacher," she said suddenly. "Elementary school. I loved those kids so much, but the school district had budget cuts, and I was one of the newest hires. So double quotes," she shrugged helplessly. "That's not your fault," Marcus said firmly. "That's just life being unfair sometimes, but it doesn't mean you're not a good teacher. It doesn't mean those kids didn't need you." "I've been looking for work for 6 months," Sarah continued. "I've applied everywhere. Substitute teaching, tutoring, even retail jobs. Nothing. My savings ran out. I couldn't pay rent, and my landlord evicted me last week. I've been sleeping in my car when I can afford gas, or in 24-hour diners when I can't. Marcus felt a familiar ache in his chest. The fear, the exhaustion, the constant worry about where the next meal would come from or where you'd sleep safely. He knew it all too well. Listen, he said, making a decision that surprised even him. I don't have much, but I have a couch. It's not fancy, and my apartment is tiny, but it's warm and dry. You could stay there tonight, at least until we figured. Certainly better. Sarah stared at him in shock. You don't even know me. Why would you help a complete stranger? Because 3 years ago, someone helped me, Marcus said. An old man named George who worked at the diner. He didn't have to give me extra shifts, or advance me money when Tyler got sick, or watch him sometimes when I couldn't find a babysitter. But he did. He told me that sometimes people just need to know that someone believes they're worth saving. Tyler stirred again and opened his sleepy eyes. When he saw Sarah, he gave her a drowsy smile and waved his little hand. Hi, Tyler said, in his small, sweet voice. You're pretty. Are you sad? Sarah's eyes filled with fresh tears, but these seemed different. Softer. A little bit, sweetheart, but I'm feeling better now. Daddy makes me feel better when I'm sad, Tyler said seriously. He reads me stories and makes funny voices for all the characters. Sarah laughed despite herself. That sounds wonderful. Marcus watched the interaction and felt something shift in his chest. Maybe helping Sarah wasn't just about saving her life. Maybe it was about saving something in himself too. The part that had been struggling alone for so long, carrying the weight of responsibility without anyone to share it with. So what do you say? Marcus asked. Want to come home with us? I can make coffee, and Tyler here loves to show off his toy collection to new people. Fair warning though, he has very strong opinions about which dinosaur is the best. Triceratops, Tyler announced proudly, fully awake now and grinning at Sarah. Sarah looked from Marcus to Tyler, then back toward the dark water below. When she turned back to them, her decision was clear in her eyes. Okay, she said quietly. Yes, I'd like that very much. As they walked away from the railing together, Marcus realized something had changed for all of them that night. He still had the eviction notice in his pocket, and Sarah still had no job and no permanent place to live. But somehow, those problems felt less insurmountable. Now sometimes the solution isn't finding a way to solve everything at once. Sometimes it's just finding someone who reminds you that you're not alone in the struggle. The rain began to lighten as they left the bridge behind, and for the first time in months, Marcus felt something he'd almost forgotten how to feel. Hope.